Morning. Everything come out pretty well health-wise?
Yeah, I don't know that. They got one more treatment at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and I have more information at that point.
Hey, Isaiah Pola-Mao has really come along, and not just as a player, but in confidence. And he and I talked yesterday about him playing now, not thinking. He's playing the game. Will you talk about his maturation, please?
Well, I think it started, just doing it the right way, right? Comes in undrafted, works his way up. Special teams, gets a little play here or there on defense, and obviously when opportunity came up, he was ready. It wasn't like, oh, just throw him in. No, we was ready for him to play. And all he's done is taken every advantage of it. He's vocal. He has a quiet, like you said, confidence about himself now. He has all the ability in the world. Tall, long, to run, ball skills, physicality showed up last night. He's really put himself in a good place. It really started off season when he was here every day after the Super Bowl.
Have you kind of compartmentalized a play he makes? He ran like 1,000 miles on the team, commits a penalty at the end. But he makes such a great hustle play. Do you criticize the penalty, or are you proud of it?
The penalty wasn't on him. It was on 53.
Oh,
It was on 53 for the
I guess
lady.
he ran all over the field on that play. I guess.
Well, that's one of the changes we made. We talked about putting him on punt team. He was the guy that's where he started off at, and anything you do to help the team, he didn't no bitch and complain. Just go out there and do it, and go back out there and play ball.
How do you make sure that exhale from in the street doesn't lead to maybe a lapse week of practice this week?
Next 24-hour rule, just like we do with every loss that we had before that. Just move on.
Whether it was in the run game or pass breakups, Trayvon Moehrig, another physical game for him. His maturation as well.
I can't speak highly enough. 4th year, everything's come together. It was weird because when the season started off, Marcus Epps was still kind of controlling the room and doing stuff like that, and obviously we had the injury. But then Trayvon just, he changed his body this offseason. I mean, he's 210 pounds, stout, putting down the box. I mean, covering tight ends. He's done a lot of positive things that don't always show up on film. Just from his communication, from being more vocal, from leading the room, that DB room now being one of the older guys in that room because it's a very young room. I mean, I think you gotta be honest. He was the 2nd round draft pick of the Raiders. And we want to keep all these kind of guys around, and he wants to be here, and he's showing that he should be here.
Through the drought and
Message for Raider fans who are upset that you guys fell down the draft board?
No comment.
Just the attitude. You could talk about the attitude the players have after the game, the attitude today, and just how important that is to see the effort that they put in and get that victory and what it means to them.
Yeah, man. Look, we work 80 hours a day, all right, 80 hours a week. Staff, players coming here, they're 40+ hours to work. We don't do this to lose. We don't do this for anybody's fantasy football team. We don't do this for anybody's draft projections. None of that shit matters to us. One thing matters is winning, and that's all we want to do.
AP, Adam Butler continues to impact the game in ways that don't even show up on a stat sheet. Would you just talk about him continuing to play at such a high level, please?
Yeah, I mean, it really started last year, and he's just carried it on, took care of his body. A couple years now removed from the ACL. And then with the loss of Christian, I think he's really done a good job of, look at those D tackles and how well they're playing. Carter and Jonah, and just really kind of putting his arms around him, being that big brother, but then at the same time handling his business. It was from batted balls, which I think we're one of the top teams in, and he's one of the best in doing it, from him reading the screens, going back to Baltimore, chasing down the screenplay. His hustle, his effort, his energy. He does that little Street Fighter move on Yuki and all that good stuff. That gets everybody fired up. So his energy and his brightness and his love for the game is contagious.
Christian was actually out on the field, well not on the field, but on the sideline yesterday, Christian Wilkins. Just wondering kind of what his presence did to help kind of, revitalize that sideline and help out with some of the younger players on defense.
Yeah, he was out there last week too, so that's good. Back-to-back weeks, we finally got him, on his feet. He's doing a real good job. I mean, he's close. He's a guy that's funny. I got a couple snaps now. We'll hold off and wait till next offseason, but it really just speaks to the culture, the locker room, the leadership, the man, the person that he is, that he wants to be around. A lot of guys that go on IR, they disappear, don't see him. They don't want to be seen. I don't know where they're at, whatever, for the most part. But, he's part of the 53 still. And that's how he treats it.
Yesterday we were joking about Aiden O'Connell's scrambling ability. Have you seen a growth from last year in terms of pocket presence and the ability to get out of trouble?
I think I've seen awareness from him to work on it, and that's consistent. He does it in practice consistently. You see that throughout. The drills they do in individual. And even just, I think with our play call and our scheme is there's a lot of things that we do with him, boots and keepers and neckers that he has to move. And last night was really impressive because because there were some moments where, that's a sack, and he got out and made a huge play down there on Brock, and did that several times, even with Abdullah down the field. So, I mean, that really saved us last night. I mean, those guys played their hearts out last night.
Coach, yesterday, Amir Abdullah said that a win like this really helps the young players, trust the process. First, can you just talk about the veteran leadership Amir provides, and also, is it easier to help guys, trust the process with a win like this?
Well, with Amir, I'll just say this, man. Come in the season probably with third, fourth running back. More thing about special teams, returner, gets the opportunity, and all he's done is made the most out of it. I think every time he touches the ball, something good happens for us. Probably has one of our longest runs of the season. Go back to that Denver game in week 5. But he has a real, he's from the South. He has a real good presence about himself. Speaks well to the team when he has spoken, and does a good job just around the locker room being positive. Your question about the young guys and winning, I think is just, man, just like I talked about, all that hard work. You kind of, make these guys understand. Look, it doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. Just like today, they're all in there working out and lifting. Just you do the same thing. It's a process. You just go with it, and at the end of the day, we count the chips and see how many wins we get at the end of the season.
Amir feels like one of those, like a baseball player that brings all his various gloves to the field. Maybe not anything just stands out, but when you look at it cumulatively, he's doing a little bit of everything. What does that mean to have a player like that? And what kind of an example is that for a young player that you can have a nice career by doing a lot of different things?
Well, one, look at how he takes care of his body. He's 30-plus years old. He's one of the quicker running backs we have in our room. Can put him in on early downs, can put him in third down and ask for protection, and obviously we get him out there in the routes, and then, hell, he's out there on special teams. So what I think it shows a lot of our guys, as your career goes on, you got to find your way, right? And you might become a Swiss Army knife, that's what he is for us right now. And you might have a role this way as a rookie, and then the third year goes to this, and you never know in your career how it goes. Everybody's career is different, but I think he's a great example of somebody that's kind of bounced around with some teams, and he's found his niche here.
It's been a while since Andre was out there. How did you think he played at center yesterday?
He did good. It was good. I mean, obviously, don't want changes, but we had Jordan out, put Jackson back over to the left guard. Thought him protected it pretty well. Obviously, the first quarter didn't go as well as we wanted. They got some pressure and collapsed the pocket, but I think overall, just the communication was clean. Quarterback center exchange was clean. We had a couple of quarterback center sneaks there. That was huge for us on 2nd and 1. That was something that we weren't doing prior. So those are all positives.
AP, when you look at this team where they are record-wise and your veterans like Adam and others, but are really bringing your young guys along, what does it say about the veterans you and Tom have put together on this team and the way they're leading through a tough time?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, watching our punt return team go out there, and it's all rookies, and Amir Abdullah. I'm like, God, dog, legit all rookies. Okay, you look at our punt team, and it's, some rookies, second-year players, and I think it was, obviously AJ and Isaiah and then Diablo. And God, but you got Romel on one side as a gunner at 34, so these guys are getting a lot of reps, man. And more importantly, they've been competitive in every game. I know you talk about the record, and there's been a lot of losses, but in all those games, those guys have competed their asses off. They've been very competitive. They're learning. There's been mistakes. There has been guys that have multiple mistakes week in, week out. For example, last week on special teams, those mistakes were wiped away. We're not talking about that. So those are a lot of positives that's gone into playing these younger players. And then, as that role goes on, just like I talked about with Isaiah on special teams, then you find your role on defense. And that's like a Chris Harper, for example, right? Special teams, and then you look out there, he's playing a lot on defense for us as well.
So Mark Davis in the locker room after the game for a long time yesterday. What's it like seeing, obviously, you're not surprised he's happy that you won, but to see that level of kind of excitement?
Yeah, it's cool. Me and Will Wills was talking about it. I don't know if I've seen that from him here. Normally he's written my office waiting to talk, but it was I was waiting for him and didn't know where he's at, but it was kind of really cool to hear about it. I didn't witness that because we were doing some other stuff. But I think it's always great when the owner has his presence and shows his presence to his team, to his organization, to his staff, his players. The appreciation from what I heard, some handshakes, some highs, and some smiles and some congratulations, that always goes a long way.
6 forced turnovers the last 3 weeks. Isaiah said before the Tampa Bay game there was a message that said enough is enough. Time to start forcing. Was that from the coaching staff? Is that a player message? I guess how did that go?
Both. They understood what it was, and last night's the best example of it. What was the difference in the game? We were +2, and we didn't turn the ball over. And look at the result, right? So it's not rocket science. You don't have to be a genius to do this. Take care of the football and take it away. The odds are in your favor.
What is it about JPJ's skill set that allows you guys to have the confidence to move him around when needed on the offensive line?
I wouldn't say so much skill set, just mentally. He can handle it. You can switch him. He can play both guards too, right? He's played a lot of left guard. in the spring, I would say majority of the time he was playing right guard when he was in there, some walkthroughs and things like that. So he's very versatile in that sense. He gives us a lot of options that when the injury goes down, we can move him around.
You guys have obviously lost a lot of players this year. Are the guys you've seen step up in terms of leadership-wise and kind of taking on a new role, kind of you guys going a little bit?
In like a leadership role? Yeah, I'll use Isaiah as an example. Be honest, I mean, he hasn't played a lot because of injuries in and out and the battle at quarterback position, but Aiden O'Connell. Aiden was very vocal last night throughout. I actually had a conversation with me about pregame about what we wanted to do with the coin toss, which I thought was interesting, how aggressive he wanted to be. So it's good to see, him coming out of his shell a little bit more and obviously have the performance he had last night.
Speaking of your team leaders, just wondering if you've had any update from Max Crosby. I'm sure he's pumping up.
He's doing good. He's in the building. I saw the big boy. Saw the big boy car outside. So I know the man's here.
You guys all
Good.
good?
Okay.
All right,
Happy
thank you.
holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas Eve.